I'd like to call to order the Townsend Conservation Commission meeting for Wednesday, May 14th at 7:03 p.m. Can I have a roll call starting with
Mike Potts present.
James Ryan present.
James Gates present. So we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Our guest Derek can lead us in it.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sitting on that anyway, right?
This meeting is being recorded. Is anyone else recording? Chairman's additions and or deletions. I do not have any at this moment. Share report. Stop by and look at 66 Bayberry. 66? 66? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I did stop and walk through there and a couple weeks ago, and after Colby had sent a letter. I personally didn't view any infractions. I thought it was a very tidy site. But that's just my opinion. That's really all I have to report. Other than that, we had 7 inches of rain in town last week.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Yes, we did.
And the river's right back down to where it should be.
Across the street, Victoria Lake appeared and it disappeared. 2.5
So you
years
didn't have
later.
any issues with, well, you can go over anything in your chair or your agent report. Review and approve meeting minutes for March 12th.
Oh, were they online? I couldn't find them.
Which things?
Were they online? Did you,
I didn't hear.
the minutes? Were they?
Yeah, but just today.
Oh, okay.
If you weren't looking at the shared folder today, you would.
Oh, no.
There's 2 copies up there.
Do you want to look at them quickly?
Oh, they're here?
Yeah.
We're fine. There you go.
I don't
There
think
you
you're
go.
here.
No, I'm not. I was not, that's why I pointed to Bob. Oh, nice. Troop 10. That's nice.
I don't know if we can, Jimmy, you weren't here for this meeting, and so you're okay to vote on
Which ones are we being?
March 12th.
What was going on in the meeting for 12? I think I can actually vote.
I think it was 56 Bayberry.
Not 66.
Correct. It was for Jack Ritchie.
No, I'll abstain.
Okay, so we can't vote on those this time.
No, I will go up, look at it.
No, you don't have to. Oh, we already voted on it. It was voting on amending the OOC.
I won't vote. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't at the meeting. I didn't do the SW either. So let's play.
So, I don't know. I'm not gonna make a motion. We're gonna actually move the review and approve meeting minutes from March 12th to our May 28th meeting. Yeah,
What?
I don't have to worry about that either.
Right.
And I will say I apologize for being delinquent for a few meetings.
So we'll have 2 meeting minutes for next time. Okay, thank you, Colby.
And those, you did post them, but today.
Yeah.
So Paul
Well,
can,
in the shared folder for. you to look
okay,
at.
okay.
That's the only place. It's not not
You-
public yet.
You're walking into this one. You're walking into this one, Jimmy. You gotta be able to open the folder on a computer.
Where's that on button? Oh, over here by the. Oh,
1.7 agent report. Hey, Colby.
James, everyone.
Welcome to the table just so
Yeah.
the world can hear us.
God, I was kind of saying hi to Pat, maybe.
All our fans out there can hear us.
All right. I'll start with site visits. It's actually been 3 weeks since our last meeting, just the way the schedule's been. So site visits, start with 194 Dudley Road. There's a detached garage proposed. And it was gonna be within 200-foot riverfront area and 100-foot wetland buffer. The owner since has decided to move the garage out so that it will be outside of the wetland resource areas. It's actually going to be a much better project then. So that was a win.
We completely go away from dealing with that, with
Yep.
him moving it.
Yeah.
Good, I mean,
Yeah.
for both of us.
So now, like when it comes across, he'll go to get a building permit. It'll come across as an IDRF, or just through the building permit webpage, and we can sign off on it. 35 Greenville Road. There's a new house proposed. It's close to, but outside of a wetland buffer and riverfront area. I mean, it's real close, about 30 or 40 feet up away. Which is why I went to see it, just to make sure that, no other resource areas were missed. Anyway, I've already signed off on that.
So you did go out there and walk it.
I did, yeah.
Is that
It's
Sean Top?
Yep.
Yep.
That was the
I
commercial
signed off on
property,
the building permit when we didn't have an
because
agent.
that was taken out of commercial, put into residential, now he's building.
Industrial.
Right.
Yeah. Okay,
So that's signed off as no wetlands involved. 145 Mason Road had an IDRF on it, interdepartment reference form, reference.
Don't look at me, I would
It's-
butcher that, and I'm just glad it's not me doing it
Holy
right
crap.
now.
I got it right here.
abbreviations, yeah.
I got it right here. Why am I even working? Interdepartmental referral form. All right. Anyway, there was a wetland buffer on the property, but the project was outside of it and no activity or work will be taking place inside the buffer. So,
That's Mason Road?
yep, 145, no wetlands involved with that one. I signed off. 37 New Fitchburg Road, is a large canopy barn structure, being proposed for the backyard. It's within 200 feet of a perennial stream. I suggested a RDA for it. It's between 100 and 200 feet of it, but it's still.
Right,
Yeah.
and the neighbor built one that then he claims he did it within, I don't know if our agent at the time did a thorough walkthrough or if it was during time of drought. What Colby has identified it as a perennial stream.
Yeah.
What's the number on that again, Fitchburg?
37 New Fitchburg?
Is that near the power lines, near Welch's, where the ballpark is?
Yeah, just past it.
On the right-hand side?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Near the power lines.
Just past the power lines if you're coming from.
Familiar.
119.
Okay, I'm good. I know the right word, okay.
Yeah, but that they may be changing their plans already, so.
To get away from.
To try and
said
Good
water.
outside of the 200 feet.
So when we had that drought a couple years ago, I know of at least one project that slipped through that should have been a NOI. It was issued enforcement.
And it did go through as an RDA?
No, it didn't go through anything. Then they retroactively filed.
And I realized I was looking at it like like the wettest point in time in the last few years, probably. But there were indicators of it being a perennial,
So-
and if you need be, I can go into it later.
This is a very serious thing.
Okay.
This is something that we had just gone through. Mike actually had just joined us, up on Barker Hill, where the stream was changed from a perennial to an intermittent.
Okay.
And as a commission, we ruled that.
Mhm.
State of Massachusetts, DEP came back and said, we're overturning your ruling. Please provide us more evidence, in which I told the property owner, get your wetland scientists out here and schedule a time with the.
And then that's when
commission will
we
be there.
we all went out, the gal from DEP, which was the newer girl,
Becky,
Rebecca, something like that. Okay, yeah. So they basically needed more information to be able to,
yep, and it was just the timestamps of the picture. So, long story short, he took pictures, he did the process correctly, it just didn't have the proper documentation, but
Mhm.
it's a matter of taking the pictures during times of non-drought.
yeah. I mean, that's as much as taking a photograph of that area
You have
with
to
a
have a
dated
timestamp
news,
on it.
with a dated newspaper. I mean, there's several different interesting forms that are accepted, and one of them being, one of the wetland scientists did 3 different shots, 3 different newspapers with the date, boom, headline. Held up well as a piece of documentation, as a newspaper on
And
that issue.
I supplied the homeowner with the process to do that.
Mhm.
I might have overloaded him with some information actually, but
And
he-
he pointed
they
it in
have-
the right direction.
yeah. And I know they want to get going on it. They're ready to go. So they're probably just gonna do the RDA instead. It'll be quicker, to be honest.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Do I recall correctly that in that Barker Hill one, there were 3 maps in question, and 2 of the maps showed that it was intermittent, and one of them showed it was permanent?
I think so, and it was.
Something like, or
Yeah,
the other way
perennial,
around,
yeah,
yeah, there
and
was
the-
some discrepancy.
And the state goes by the one that says it's perennial, but the other 2 were credible resources to
Right.
utilize. Yeah,
So I wonder, is it Mass Mapper is the
I
one that
don't-
the state goes
I don't
by?
remember.
I believe so, yeah.
And what is that, does it show it's perennial or intermittent on that one?
You had to ask. It's a hydrologic connection. And, it doesn't mean that it's not a stream, or it doesn't mean it's intermittent or perennial. Just means that there is something there.
Yeah,
And it is a pretty flat area. The one on Barker Hill was on a hill. You could tell it was drained, when it rained heavy, that's where the water would go.
And Barker Hill can be tricky due to the amount of granite in those areas and the extensive sloping in areas that it can elude water, build up. Then if you guys know the area, which, that's the backside of the quarry area. Charlie, with a lot of water coming down from even those big field, on and on it goes.
and so you walked the site,
I did, yeah.
and what did it look like?
I mean, it had a 6 foot to 8 foot wide channel, 3 to 4 feet deep.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I mean, this time of year it was full of water. I could see how it could dry out in the summer, but that's not necessarily meaning
Was there
that
a
it's
current?
intermittent or classified as intermittent.
Yeah, so,
They had a gravel rock bed, so no
Yeah.
plant life in it.
A noticeable current?
Oh, yeah, it
Oh,
was full of
definitely,
that. Yeah, and there was a swamp just upstream of it.
that's,
Pretty,
you said that, the swamp.
yeah, and so,
Good sized wetland area.
yeah, and
What does it show?
I didn't want to actually do this, but I went and looked at it, and it actually has its own little watershed too, which goes down into the river. So, and if you look at the regulations, even an intermittent stream that has its own watershed emptying into a larger body of water or river, that comes with regulations as well. So,
Because of its flowing to those areas, yeah.
anyway, Can I go on to the next? All right.
Sorry, we don't mean to probe you.
No, it's good. That's good. 18 Main Street, which is Starbucks. The project has begun. The erosion control has been put in place.
I know, yeah.
We did let's say visit. We met with the team there and did a pre-construction meeting. Beth Faxon, with the planning board, she went out as well and spoke about the stormwater plan. As it is a major stormwater permit that they have. But yeah, that's up and going. It's good. They actually even had a blowout with all the rain this weekend, and before I could even get out there, they had already fixed it, so, with the wattles. So, anyway, BOH.
Yeah, go out now
Well,
and address it.
I'm not trying to slow you down, Colby, you know, you wanna be those guys' friends,
Yeah.
you know, build the rapport with them.
The guys,
Any of the guy, any construction company, doing projects like that.
Understandable.
You know,
Yeah.
cause we did that whole
Good
sidewalk
advice.
with them.
no, it just in general, like, yeah, you did this, like,
It was me, Beth, no, Jessica, Kevin, yeah. So we went over all the where the waters are gonna go, that drainage area, what they were digging up, we got the whole big picture of what the construction people were gonna do, so it would be good to keep eye on, because it's gonna get busy down there. You know, but once those guys start, they're gonna bang it out quick.
Yeah.
They want Starbucks coffee, you know, so as soon as possible.
All right, Board of Health, building permit sign-offs, 23 North End Road, IDRF on it too, which is a new house proposed. There, and on the map, there's no wetlands involved. I took a drive-by. It is set back behind houses, but there's no wetlands involved. I signed off on it.
That's way on the other side towards the harbor end.
North End Road, and it actually has two entry points, one
Is it-
on
it would be
Wallace Hill
by-
Road, too.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's right in
up
Rose's
by
corner.
the T up there, which is
Oh,
way
okay.
more accidents than you would think.
I got you.
happen there.
Yep, yep, yep.
19 Balsam Drive, they're they're putting a deck on, and there were no wetlands involved. 7 Todd Drive, stairs and a ramp on the front of the house are going in, no wetlands involved. Meeting and conferences, I did meet with Jeff Legros, thank you, for the open space recreation plan. I'll go into that. It's on the agenda, so I'll go on into that a little bit more. And it's gonna be pretty brief because I'm not that educated on it. So, flood control meeting on 5/7. I'm just gonna read the blurb here because they write it better than I do. This forum is part of Townsend's Climate Resilient Drainage Master Plan Project, which is generously funded by the Massachusetts Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness MVP grant program, which provides support for cities and towns to plan for climate change and to implement projects to build local resiliency. More information on this program can be found at resilientma.mass.gov/MVP. Police, I had to outdo the police there. Anyway, this is going to be I hope there's a lot of grant money here, that's available. And it's, there's stuff for studies, projects. They are doing the culvert program, but there's much more out there, so, I have to get going on that, some of those things, at least researching them. So, but, I could use help with ideas. So if you guys have, ideas for projects, check this website out and let me know. One other issue I do have to mention, because I issued an enforcement order. And that was on 2 properties located, the addresses are off Main Street and 0 Main Street. They're near the harbor and on rail trail. And they are under the property ownership of Shepherd Farm Incorporated. I think I will just read the letter.
Mhm.
Yep. We don't have a quorum, so nothing can be done about it tonight. So it will have to be postponed till a later meeting. But I can read the enforcement letter that I sent. On behalf of the Conservation Commission, I am reaching out regarding work performed on two properties located on Main Street in Townsend, Mass. The map and parcel IDs are 33470 and 34880. They are generally between the rail trail and the Squanicook River. The cutting of trees and vegetation is in violation of CMR 10.02, which explains any activity proposed or undertaken subject to regulation under MGL Chapter 131, Article 40, and requires the filing of a notice. I'm sorry, I have to go back because I missed the sent line. Excuse me. CMR 10.02 explains any activity proposed or undertaken within an area specified in 310 CMR 10.02, Article 1, which will remove, fill, dredge, or alter that area, is subject to regulation under Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Article 40, and requires the filing of a notice of intent. The Townsend Wetland Bylaw that was violated is Chapter 150, Article 2, which explains vegetated buffer of naturally occurring plant material, minimum 35 feet wide along all wetlands and water bodies to not be disturbed and labeled as such.
35 feet away from any wetland area. Not how does that verb out as 35 feet wide?
35, this is directly out of the
Okay.
bylaws. It says
Okay.
35 feet wide along all
Once again, I
wetlands.
always fumble with 35 foot. But as you said, you see how it's confusing when you read it in other documents.
Our bylaw is not written well. It's just.
Correct.
The cutting of vegetation on these properties within the 100-foot buffer zone, riverfront area, and 35-foot no disturb zone needs to cease immediately. We would like to schedule a time for when we can walk the property together to see if any remedial actions are necessary or if conservation permits are needed. And then I list my hours and phone number and my title. And I will say since then, the next day, the machine that was there doing the work was removed. But it will be in the Conservation Commission's ball court to see as to what they decide to do with this.
Correct. So we'll go to a vote at the next meeting, whether or not we proceed forward with a violation.
Yeah.
And you haven't mailed that correspondence to said Shepherd's Farms?
I did. It went out certified mail as well as email.
Came back, signed
No.
and received?
It has not come back.
Now, with Mr. King, sent out, received, have not got it back yet.
Correct. Yep.
Nice job.
Well, that's nothing I want to do for those interested.
It's a
But
part of what the process is.
it is.
It's a part of how you move forward in the process, learning it, defining it to yourself. So better next time, whichever way it goes.
Yeah, and without any more members being here, I think that's all that should be said, unless you have something to say. So, that is the end of my report.
And I will make a brief mention of that. You and I will go out to see that so we can both take a good walk, take a good overview of it.
Yeah, but we certainly, it's private property, so we would need permission from the
Already
landowner.
made the call.
Okay. All right, got it. Yeah, I would gladly
Blessing.
like to meet with them, so.
Blessing has come through.
Okay,
So
excellent.
we're moving, as after my conversation, I've moved forward in that regard, you know.
Fabulous. time to get James back in
We
here?
can leave them out there if you
Yeah.
want. I mean, we don't have
Wrap
to
this up.
hurry it up. Or in cold storage for a few minutes. Try to do that plenty of times.
Do you have your garlic in?
Garlic was in last October.
Oh, you planted it in the fall? Oh, I didn't know that.
Put the pre-emergent down, strong, wait for the spring. It's already up a foot and a half.
3.1. 10, placement of boundary markers. Boy Scouts want to assist in putting up boundary markers on newly surveyed properties on West Meadow Road and Dudley Meadows on Dudley Road. And I believe also permission to camp while they do it.
And what?
Camp.
Well, they're out there on West Meadow Road.
Yeah.
I just think that's awesome.
Would it be better at Dudley?
Well, let's ask. Derek Cogden is here, troop leader of Troop 10.
Oh.
Yeah.
How you doing? Good, how are you?
Derek, you want to come to the
I
table?
can come to the table if you'd like.
I think that's awesome.
I knew you would.
I love it. I do. And if it isn't okay up there, they can come park right down my field, have a campfire and
So we talked to you when we applied for the grant or after we won it. And
Yeah. You had to survey the two properties.
Yeah.
We were fine with going out to put up placards when everything was all set.
Right.
Within whatever our schedule was. It's assumed it's probably gonna take us an entire weekend to do it, given we're gonna have to teach the boys how to do it and keep the lines and everything. So it'd be easier for us to be able to just stay where the properties are, as opposed to being there for a few hours, leaving, coming back the next day and just starting the process over again.
I think it's
So that
awesome.
would be what we want to do. It's the camera.
we already have the placards, right?
We do, yeah.
So they're,
Ordered some more, but we got quite a few already.
so are they're
I'll
gonna
count them.
blaze and they're gonna nail on our conservation placard?
Town-
What guidelines have you given them to mark on trees? What are you allowing them to do with it? Just like fishing game will sometimes use a particular color in a.
My impression was we were just putting up placards that say, this is the boundary of the town.
Sure we know.
Yeah, the round,
Conservation.
the wet ones.
The new ones that we just got,
Says conservation area on it.
yeah, like the ones I got them out on my property.
Yeah.
We have two different ones, correct?
So there was a box of aluminum nails that I bought.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's gonna be enough. We probably need to order more. I get those on Amazon
Okay,
or wherever you guys have an account.
yeah, good point.
Sam's buy some, if they run out, I got a box of aluminum nails in the barn. Yeah,
Um,
how many are they gonna put out?
I don't know.
Well, that's the
Talk about
details
how
I
many,
need.
how many feet do we want in between them? Colby, have you?
Is there a guideline?
I was gonna say, does Massachusetts?
There is. Yeah, I found it in a bid document, for when DCR did it.
So if somebody's posting their property, they have to have it up a certain height. And it isn't that same type of a guideline.
Similar.
Is it similar to that
It's
on
gonna be
no?
similar.
So you're gonna have to have a certain amount of feet, certain height. Let's find out, Mr. Chairman, what the reg is.
Yeah, because those are the details we're gonna need, the height they
Height
need to
and
be,
the
the
distance
distance between
On
them,
your line of sight. you know.
the starting points, the corner markers, all of that stuff. The plot
Corner
plan.
mark is almost what you want them doing.
Well, I don't wanna go, I don't want the boys to go out and we're gonna put up a line of, that we're not on the correct line.
No, the marking should still be there.
From the surveyors,
Yes.
correct.
The stakes are still there.
Yeah, as long as we have the GPS of where they are and the bearings to go
How
to the next
many,
one.
how many other little Boy Scouts you got?
I know, we're not all so little. I have 11 right now. We range from 11 to, I think my oldest is 16 now.
No kidding.
And they just ran district camporee for 258 scouts. The 11 of
Good for them. So you got a good type.
them. Yeah, they're good.
Little group.
Mhm.
My little spot there is down on Camp Dudley.
Nothing, that's conservation. I'm sure we could tie it to something.
Orientation.
Orienteering, maybe, maybe surveying,
You can put it under a couple different,
but they all need conservation time, so this would count as that.
and that is predicated toward gaining another badge or
Rank, conservation times for rank.
things have changed.
Surveys, and it did make it pretty easy because they chopped them, lots of vegetation out of the way. Just like straight, clear lines up in right now anyway.
Nice.
Maybe not when more leaves come out.
Yeah.
And that was, we had Dillis and Roy do that, right?
Yes,
Nice, good. Because they came in the best on bid, right?
yes, they did.
And that grant money, I think, was completely utilized.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
22, 23?
I'll have to go back, but that actually, I'm not sure how it happened, but that actually got reduced a little bit. So there, James mentioned this too, that there is a balance remaining, so.
Goes to the WPA account?
Nope, it has to get
you know, as
utilized.
we-
It goes what, into the GF, general
Nope.
fund?
Nope, it has to be used on the project, so you can buy boundary signs or aluminum nails with it.
So we do have some money in the coffers.
Yeah.
No, your boots,
All right, so
gas expense.
you have to become an employee to do that.
Gotta try.
For what it's worth, the Massachusetts regulations for Conservation Commission boundary marker height and distance are primarily managed at the local level.
So the placement of blazes and boundary signs are approximately 5.5 feet,
Up,
yes.
It's my height. It's not as tall as Todd, so.
that's fine. We have a marker.
Todd A is like 6'7".
Big
Arsenal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Todd's a-
So, and then
That's awesome.
the signs are,
That would be Todd Junior.
so the signs are not,
Attention.
the signs are not nailed tight. You leave 1 inch of allowance for growth. So,
Depending on how wet the year is.
So in other words, you're gonna leave that now?
I'm gonna out an inch in anticipation the tree might grow an inch.
place at intervals of 75 feet or less.
Okay.
Sounded like that was more up to the discretion of the group. So 75 feet in a 20-acre area, you're gonna eat quite a few of those badges.
Anything we want to add? Any thoughts?
No, just that it is gonna require a lot of markers.
Everybody's gonna have a hammer and a
So they're gonna need
pocket of nails.
a copy of the map that Bill Roy did for us and a copy of the deed. And I would start on the West Meadow properties and there's,
Because there's two up there, right?
no, because there's some issues with the Dudley property, right?
But on West Meadow, there's two
Yes.
different pieces, but like you were saying, Dudley's seems to have a glitch. A paperwork issue.
Yeah. And an encroachment issue.
And legal's taking care of it. It's,
We're gonna talk about it.
well, doodly-doo.
Now, they're also gonna need permission to access the West Meadow properties through the easement, correct?
Depends on which property, because one of them has frontage,
Okay,
and one is, you're
I
right,
just what I was
one
told.
is, what's that?
Kevin knows him better than I.
Landlocked. Yeah.
That's frontage.
So you're right, I will have to, we do have an easement, I'll contact the homeowner.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll give you the green light.
Okay.
And then you'll have to just take the deed with the lengths of each side and figure out how many signs.
And I'm assuming those things from Dillis and Roy have the GPS for every corner marker.
Oh, for sure.
I'm sorry?
I'm assuming the
The
stuff from
maps.
Dillis, the maps have the GPSs for the corners
They do, yeah.
or any angles that go into it.
Just
a
a question, due to the amount of money Dillis and Roy was able to acquire for the map, would it have been in our best interest to have them have put cornerstones in?
I don't think we didn't have enough money left.
Okay.
We had like hundreds, but it wouldn't have been enough. Do you have any cornerstones?
I actually do. I actually do.
Parking up there in West Norwood might be tough too.
Why?
I put that top property, it's like a ravine going down, right?
I will, you know what? I told Kobe I'll see him Tuesday and we're gonna do a roundabout looking at some stuff. Why don't we take the time to go up there and do a little.
I'm sure someone lives at the bottom of the hill that will allow them to park.
Listen, I'm the mayor of West Meadow Road. I can do something out there. You know, that's not a problem parking and whatnot. Even if we gotta take the kids, park in my field and we'll cart them up or whatever, you know. And that way, if anyone's staying overnight, because you guys are gonna be camping there, you're gonna probably want them in my yard, off the road with my security. You know what I'm saying?
Like the bears?
No, I got a turkey out there that's pretty ugly, pretty mean, so he takes care of business.
So I make a motion that we approve camping on the properties to approve camping by the Boy Scouts and on the properties they are going to put boundary markers on. Is there a second?
Second,
Roll call vote starting with Mike.
Mike Pot said yes.
James joining us.
James Gates, yes.
I'd like to even say, I'd love to see a little camp up there for the guys. Camp Meadow Road. Seeing it right now.
So that's all set.
All right.
I don't know if there's anything legal wise or paperwork, Colby, that we just obligated you to, but.
Okay.
That would be the camping form CM 7389.
Yeah.
But then we have to give them written permission, we probably should notify.
And we'll
You
swear.
said one of the left-handed smoke door with that too?
We might have one of those.
Yeah.
That's great, we dealing with the Boy Scouts of them, you know, and how they create those badges and incentive, that's. So like I said, you guys have running water, place to park, whatever you need. It's at the bottom of the road, but I'll cart them up in the truck, we'll load them all up, drive them up, drop them off. Or whatever you wanna do, whatever you
All
need.
right.
Plenty of area to park in the front. Everything's good.
Alright, we're gonna move on to
Make it work.
3.2.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dudley Meadows encroachment, Concom property on Dudley Road has encroachment from a butters, plan of action to be discussed. No. I guess this conversation probably is gonna be limited, Colby, because we gotta figure out how to feed this to.
It's a good place to start. Yeah. And I can show you the deed too.
Can you bring me up to speed on what this is?
So Dudley Meadows is open space, but it was technically deeded. It was the property that Mass Wildlife had come and talk to us about. But it is, the deed is, where, do you have a copy of the deed? You
I do.
So this is the property you were discussing that we're having trouble with? That conservation owns and we can't.
We don't own it.
It's ambiguous a little bit.
And I can show you how. So this is for West Meadow, our property there,
Yep.
actually. And they mention in the deed right here, MGL, it's for MGL chapter 40, section 8C.
Subsection.
Yeah. And in here, it only says open space on the Dudley Meadows. So it's not entirely clear that it's under the care of the Conservation Commission.
Well, it's pretty clear that it's not.
Yeah, but the property card for it, yeah, has it listed as Conservation Commission. So it's understood by the town that we are in care of it. It's just not.
So,
Legally binding.
what is the town admin's thoughts on this then?
Yeah, waiting for.
So that comes under the regards, I think, of a verbiage correction.
I don't know.
Well, that's gonna be
Hold on,
something.
I think it's a redeeding of the property.
So does it have to go to town?
I'm waiting for,
meeting.
I'm waiting for answers. The assessors have been researching it, and the town administrator is aware of it.
So
Kind of
Victoria's working
what
on,
the answers are.
and he's spoken to Adam,
I did.
he's got that presently,
I spoke to him about the encroachment issue.
yeah.
He said to get an answer on this first.
Okay, so I'm gonna table this until we have an answer.
Yeah.
That way we make sure the horse and the cart are in the right position.
Yeah,
Things are like slowly starting to turn on this, like get ramped up, but this is slow.
As you will learn, you'll see
Yeah,
that
you're gonna
molasses moment, you'll go,
this is gonna
What?
be frustrating for you.
right,
Yeah.
you'll be yelling giddy up and they'll be going, hang on, we're getting there.
Yeah, but I wanted to start to get on public record though, that this,
There's encroachment on Peter J. Drive.
yeah.
There's my public announcement.
So
Figure out where your
we can
property
look at
lines
that
are.
probably Tuesday too. When you say encroachment on Peter J. Drive, that's private
From,
single housing,
Yeah, it doesn't matter who.
and they're going into the wetlands right side.
Nope, they're going into town property.
town property, right? And it's pretty good encroachment, so.
In other words, it's obvious,
Outbuildings,
visible, you,
fence,
gotcha.
lawn,
Mike has a,
Do
patio.
the owners have any inkling that this is,
Well,
I would think they would after the survey crew went through.
After the survey, so in other words, you guys went in there and had it resurveyed
Yeah,
for,
you were there, that's part of the 3 properties we surveyed, that the Boy Scouts are gonna march. That's why we said, don't do that one just yet, let us figure that out.
Not yelling at angry neighbors.
Boy Scouts scaling the fences,
yeah,
Put
but
up-
do you have a badge for that? Is there a badge for disgruntled one?
No, maybe for the scout.
it's
Maybe
for
the
some
scout
public
masters.
engagement. Arguments if using.
well, on the map, there's a little, is there a strip on the backside of that property that's got an easement in it? I don't know, am I looking at the wrong map? There's some of the maps that you sent, recently, and I looked at it and it looked like there was the property. And then from Mass Mapper, did it show that there was a strip of land and there was an easement on that land?
For Dudley Meadows?
I think so.
Okay.
But I don't know, do you have the map?
I don't recall it. I have surveyed map. I don't know if it's prudent to put it up now and show it.
It would be, because I haven't seen it.
If I could share.
Hey Hartley, can,
Yeah, you can
you gotta join the meeting to do this.
Yeah.
You're going to mute yourself.
share. That's the minutes.
I don't need that, that goes with that, what you have right there.
What? My agenda.
It's nice.
Oh, I did. You see what went on at these meetings that I missed, I should look at them.
Hey Hartley, can, Colby get screen sharing, please?
It'd be good to share now.
Do I do something?
Yeah, share, find.
This was a pretty quick meeting. March 6th.
There you go. Wanna maximize that? Yeah. Open it up.
Take your time.
Oh, I see. Okay, so close out the comments, close out the all tools.
Oh, this is.
We are looking at Peter J. Drive.
Yep.
So,
The backside water run is Quantico.
is that big enough anyway?
Sure.
So if you see our access here, this is how we access it to Dudley Road. My cursor up there and at the right is on Dudley Road.
Okay.
And this edge here, this edge of the town property comes all the way down here. There's some violations along that border.
Is it an actual like road or is it an established type of an open trail?
We have a trail through there, and even the trail is getting encroached on by properties.
Okay, so that's.
Oh, Mike, you're thinking the drainage easement, that's.
Right.
So that's where the access point, the height out there is also, isn't there a little spot where you can park where it says such and such walking trail?
Yeah, it's like,
There's a sign up there that says, what's it say, Dudley Meadows? on it?
Something.
I don't know, maybe, I think so, yeah.
Something like that. But that is the easement area which we're looking at that they're encroaching upon.
Yes.
Doesn't take me long to figure out where.
I can go through pictures if you need to.
Yeah, since you're already screen sharing.
Demonstrate encroachment to us.
And this is the
Show
major
us
area.
the
Now,
encroachment.
keep in mind that this is off of Mass Mapper, the pink line, it didn't go up, did it?
No. Easy.
Excuse me.
Okay, cool.
That's tough to see, isn't it?
Am I to understand the pink line to this left-hand side and this pink that's the encroachment with fencing and everything like that in there?
Yeah, now keep in mind though, this is not as accurate as the survey.
But even if they were short a little, you know what I mean, give or take this way or that way,
And the
that's a
survey-
lot of
The
encroachment.
survey does show that the boundary is more like out here where my cursor is going, behind this shed area.
Yeah,
So it's still pretty prominent
oh,
and
would it be safe to say that's fairly evident? That people have kind of
So that
expanded?
house, that first house, I'm pretty sure that was previous owners that
Yeah,
had done that. It wasn't the newer owners.
part of the problem, right, it's changed hands since, yeah, it's been sold since that fence has been up.
Yeah, but that doesn't give them the ability to say, well, it's not our fault.
Oh, yeah, no, I know.
There's a big, I mean, you wanna see, I have pictures here too.
Can you pop that back up, Cody?
Well, he's got pictures.
Well, here,
Oh, he's got enough on, he's looking.
yeah, it's tough because it's such, well, that's the wrong term I was about to use. Whipper poles out here. But you can see this, you know, at no point am I on their property. I took all these from the town property. And you can see this is the backside of the fence. I do want to show you one in particular that's, there again, you get to see the shed and what's behind it.
The shed is on town property.
It's on top of it, I think. Yeah. So, and this is a big chicken coop out there.
Ticonderoga.
Pictures don't do it justice, but
It can be fixed up to make it a lot nicer, you're saying?
I mean, tear it down, it would be a lot nicer.
So that's just some kids putting a fort up on
No,
this.
this is a chicken coop. This is 20 by 25 feet.
On town property?
Yeah, that's definitely on town property. Yeah, there is a lot of trash that's been, so. Yep. They have,
That's, yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting. And have you approached any of these homeowners, or is this just the
No.
beginning, scratching the surface of the next step?
that was my first question, for Lee. And, that was my first intent, or, that was my first idea, was to get a letter out to them, to knock on their doors and. But, he suggested that this is a larger issue and to get, to go through the select board or to get the deed squared away first.
The what?
It's the deed to the town. It's no doubt that we own it, the town. It's just,
Who controls it? So before we go start getting ourselves into trouble, it's best.
Just curious as to how
How to handle this?
going to move forward.
The minute we have the deed squared away, we can.
Yep.
Do the enforcement.
Yep.
Now, I caution you that we need to be careful how we do the enforcement simply because people. They're not well received. Visitors of this kind aren't well received, so.
understandable, yeah.
You're gonna be, it's gonna get touchy and it's a territorial thing. That chicken coop's been there over a year, so really eminent domain, it's my land now. You can hear some fun stuff like that. It's gonna be fun.
Funny on the map there, if you look here where the cursor is behind, that was pretty much this angle here, the fence. That's pretty much dead on where the surveyors surveyed the property line. So I think someone at some point was aware that the property line was more like back in here. And then somehow it just got bumped out. By someone. And it's a formidable fence, it's a nice fence.
Oh, that vinyl fencing is, yeah.
Anyway,
What are your thoughts? Put your closing thoughts on moving on.
Deed squared away, and then we will, I can have a conversation with.
Let Victoria do what she's gonna do.
Well, yeah, no,
And let them-
there's legal matters that have to get settled.
Correct.
even before Derek can go put up boundary markers, but I'll have a conversation with DEP and how to see this,
How
when the
they,
time comes.
they must be confronted with that all the time. Plus
And I
Fish and
don't
Game,
like the idea of,
Fish and Game gets confronted with that stuff too a lot.
I don't necessarily like the idea of our agent going to door knocking either.
Yeah, and I would not do that.
I was gonna say this, no future in it, Goldie, going alone. Oh, yeah? Yes.
I realize the bee's nest that could be served out there.
Right, let's slowly pick this apart, because that's gonna get people all itchy.
It is going to get more rapid, but after tonight. So,
Are you saying we have viewers? People actually watch this?
there's a few, maybe not right.
Like, what are your thoughts?
People do go and watch the videos a little bit.
Oh,
But
it seems like we do have to wait until we find out who actually controls the land, and then go from there.
You know who controls it, it would be conservation, towns. But it's,
According to the
Deed.
property card,
Yeah.
the deed states otherwise, so.
let's let it unfold. This will be an interesting one. Cool.
Move on to 3.3 ACEC designation. What is an area of critical environmental concern? Most of Townsend is in the ACEC. What does that mean though? In this work section, we will discuss how the ACEC was designated, purpose, and importance. I mean, your parents are the ones that voted on this.
Yeah.
Ron.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. Early 70s?
I think late 70s, but it was the 70s.
It was the 70s, I know that, yeah. Yeah. Put a question mark there.
So Colby, you have screen sharing and
Yeah. So I wanted to start educating ourselves, myself included, on a couple things. I think I'm starting with the most obscure program that we have in town. Maybe that's why I started with this one. So in the coming months or coming meetings, when we do have time, I'd like to review some of these things. Something wrong with, Wetlands Protection Act, which I put down further on the agenda. But this one, I'm just gonna read the first couple paragraphs, because this one is different. It's not as clear to me, so if you'll let me read a couple paragraphs here. And I'll get these documents up online, but they are easy to find.
are they on the town's conservation page?
No, they're not. I can do that. I can get those up now. So,
Okay, that'd be great.
I just took a webinar this week on it. Anyway, the Areas of Critical Environmental Concern program was established in 1975 when the Massachusetts State Legislature authorized and directed the Secretary of Environmental Affairs to identify and designate areas of critical environmental concern to the Commonwealth. An ACE is a formal state designation directed principally to the actions and jurisdictions of state environmental agencies. The Department of Conservation and Recreation administers the ACEC program on behalf of the Secretary. There is a folder up there too with these in it. The Department of Conservation and Recreation administers the ACEC
Want to
program.
grab some for you?
Currently, there are 30 ACECs in 76 municipalities, covering approximately 268,000 acres.
260.
Yeah, and to that point, if you look at the map on there, we're in the Squanastic ACEC.
Which means Squanicook, Mississippi.
Correct.
National.
Mashed together.
Correct. Mississippi.
And it doesn't do it justice if we don't have a printer for color.
We lost that in budget cuts.
But you can see you can see the coverage, especially of Townsend.
Yes.
Get an idea for it. That was the best picture I could find. So the ACC regulations, are 301 CMR 12.0, and they are just, to designate the ACR. They don't come without any regulatory, regulations. What they draw from is a bunch of programs, like coastal zone management, Wetland Protection Act,
WPA.
yeah. A couple others. And those are illustrated in here. So, and it's a little bit funny because they draw regulations from other what's these here, an office or agency? Thank you. What they really, the importance is, well, I'll read this part. It's important to understand that the goals of ACEC designation are not achieved exclusively through state regulations. What they do is they allow for grants and education opportunities. So, let me just read that a little bit there. In addition to the regulatory roles described in the guide, several state agencies and programs give priority attention to ACECs through non-regulatory means. For example, there are several state agency grant programs that often give priority to grant applications for projects within ACECs. Some state agencies actively participate in the review of ACEC nominations and state reviews of proposed projects located within ACECs. And these documents here go into further depth. So you can peruse them at your leisure. Graphics.
Just,
One of the things I just
So
read,
this is just an introduction to it.
yeah,
You gotta do some homework on it.
the agricultural preservation restriction APR program administered by, Department of Agricultural Resources gives additional priority to funding applications for the acquisition of APRs located within ACECs.
just in a footnote of it, I do remember some of, when my parents were doing conservation, I think that they had gotten the grant money from this whole process to buy the Dudley Road property aquifer area for the water department. There's that whole stretch of Dudley Road, just after Harrod's Farm, all the way to the end, town bought. And Dudley, or you mean Dudley? That's the whole aquifer area for the town's water.
You don't mean old battery?
Right, hold that, you got me kidding. Every once in a while, I go a little off the course, but you're right, Old Battery
We're
Road.
still stuck on the last one.
Yeah, but on Battery Road, that whole stretch was purchased by the town through those grants for the acquisition of that aquifer area for water preservation. That's why it's never been sold, and that was some of the things they were doing back then. Good stuff, you know.
What else? Sorry to interrupt you, Colby. What else is there?
I know.
Say again?
Do you have more to add to it? I know you just went introduction, but
I really don't. I'll get more information up there on the website. So, I think it's real clear what the program is to do. It's a
You gotta really read up on all this research to get the whole game plan of it. But that's
Okay, so
that
here's a
little
question.
snippet you read about agriculture, that whole,
so they're doing the project on 13. What is that, a maintenance project? What? It's a blower
what project on 15, where they have those,
with bridges, but with the, so highway improvement projects proposed by Mass Highway Department are required to file an ENF. Did they ever put you on notice that that project was being done down there? We should
on
fire,
Dudley Road, I mean,
no, on
on,
Route 13
across,
by
the
Thomas.
swamp.
by Dunkin' Donuts,
Next to Dunkin' Donuts before
the
the bridge.
bridge, the actual bridge,
Oh, the actual bridge.
which,
You know, they just popped that in a couple weeks ago. I didn't even hear anything about it.
no, they didn't, yes, they're exempt, but they didn't file anything like usual.
Is that a long term? Is that a full bridge replacement or just,
Maintenance.
okay,
We've had this talk with Mass.
I
DPW
think-
before, remember for the culverts,
with the culverts? Yeah, I do recall.
which has been worse, which they dump sand on top of now.
I just saw that. I just saw that. And our boys got that situation going on again. Crap from into the swamp area.
Mike, do you have any questions? I think you newer and
At this point, got some reading to do, but perhaps I will.
I just was in the old living room, just found another box of my mother's notes on all kinds of different conservation projects, Kimberly Park. When that was all ongoing and
you saved them, didn't you? That'd be cool to look at someday. So, Colby, I think it's great that you introduced us to it. Do you want to do another piece that pertains to us? 'Cause I know a bunch of this can pertain to like, the coast.
Yeah, coastal zone there.
Yeah. But maybe pick apart areas that pertain directly to us, so then we're not overwhelmed by this is.
irrelevant information we don't need to go to.
I can get, I'll go into it later date with more pertinent information specific to us. But, yeah, I'm just scratched the surface so far. Just started understanding.
Alright, so. Thank you, and. The next thing is education and conferences. The outdoor or open space recreation plan meeting at the senior center, Jeff, Playgrove senior principal plan for, MRPC presented the final version of the OSRP for Middle to, I don't even know what EEA is, plan available on land use website.
Executive Office of Environmental Affairs and Conservation.
Wow. We abbreviate way too much.
Yeah.
Well, that's the FBI, CCB and DB King program. Okay. Too much.
Okay.
Acronym soup. So,
Is there anything that we need to discuss regarding this plan?
I just want, again, I want to present it to people because it's being finalized right now. The plan is up on the land use website. It's got probably 16 pages to it, so peruse it at your leisure. I put up the maps. Get an idea about our responsibilities.
Yeah, thanks for catching me on that. Sitting there saying,
Yeah, so
Dudley Road and it's bad or.
So we were looking at this before the meeting, and it's busy. This is a busy map. But on the left side, and once this map is finalized, I'll put it up there too. I have to find the person with the permissions to the land use website right now. Anyway, in the light pink, where my cursor is over here.
Far left.
Yeah, far left. Thank you. Whatever color that is, light pink. Those are kind of all the responsibilities like for the Conservation Commission. And there are a lot, but a lot of them are things that we're kind of already doing, and they may be explained a little bit differently. But yeah, there are some more specific in there. What, so Jeffrey Legros, with the Montechusett Regional Planning Commission presented this at the senior center last week. Did a great job. And this has been in the works, for several years now, so we're right at the end. This is the final plan. Take a look. What we got to say. And maybe in the future, after we digest it a little bit, we can come back to it and pick up the things that we should really be focusing on, that we are, that we are normally not doing. Because as I say, a lot of these we are doing. Makes your sense.
Still kind of interested to see on that map, all of the properties in control of fishing marked prudently and properly, and I asked why is there not fishing game properties marked on that? Not one thing says fishing game, am I right?
No, it does.
Where does it say
Yeah.
fishing game?
Department of Fish and Game.
Yeah, I'll bring the
It's
other
a dark green, which not all of that is not correct.
It is, okay, so you understand what I'm trying to say, it can't be.
Which I think DCR is the primary plan.
Where was the 89 acres that they just bought on West Meadow Road marked on this?
Maybe that's too new for them to.
That could be too.
When was it purchased?
2 ago?
I don't remember. Oh,
Close to 2 years ago.
what do you?
I'd say it was over 2 years ago, in fact.
Yeah, you would think that would be up there, but I don't know.
In regards of that is a large
No, it looks like it
parcel.
is.
Where, put your finger on sport. Okay, yeah, here's where it goes in with Manson's, there's that little, they did with the 89.
I think the takeaway could be that there is a lot of open spaces there. If you just look at not the colors, just the accumulation of open space, there's a lot. Puts that in perspective a bit.
Right, it was not good, and, McGovern's all the way there, and that goes all the way to this. Mine.
I knew you guys would like the picture.
You gotta take a little time and study it, you know what I mean?
There's a lot to it.
I mean, it's my own piece of property there, yeah.
They don't even have like the trail connectivity, right? Like there's a that goes right here.
Where the light to the dark is
Yeah.
across. And that's up in where? Old, that's
That's
maybe,
off of Parker Hill, it's up past Charlie, which I don't even think this is, there isn't. I think some of this is wrong here. Because there's the long narrow field that is
Charlie's.
Charlie's, and that's not even, it's under the stupid
It's
thing
under
right
that
here.
pink mark, yeah. Then you just go up over the edge there and you're in on Hurricane. Yeah. Over here, that isn't, there, you can see the
Well, and
strip
then you
of
go like-
Charlie now.
Okay, so then you go Parker Hill, they have it all colored in green, the entire way. Oh, no,
No,
it has the old Parker Hill one, where it used to fork.
yeah, it's all open.
Yeah, no, but that shouldn't even be on the map, it's not even a
Could
road.
I assume, is this, where I put my finger, is that King's right there?
No, that's Charlie's. It's across the street from the house. King's is on to your left. No, left. Up, right there.
Oh, okay. Okay, all right. Okay, so that would be to the other side, you're right. So that's what I'm trying to.
Chapter 61A.
Yeah, yeah, but I assume they've got it in 61. You know,
Why are we putting potential vernal pools?
why would we want? What did you say, Jim?
Nothing, something that's probably controversial enough that within itself. You know, okay, I'll say it. It has NHESP potential vernal pools, not equivalent to certified vernal pools. That to me is misleading, and it should be facts on this, not, oh, we think this is here.
Yeah, speculatory vernal pools aren't good. I mean, if it is a vernal pool, and it would be literally registered,
Right.
you
So,
know,
that's
with
just my 2
numbers
cents.
and everything. Which we have the ability to do too. It's, see, it is hard to take and declare, you know, root staining, open area, et cetera, et cetera. We did a whole class. Garden in the woods in Framingham for pools. That would be a good place for you to go.
Oh, I'm familiar, I've taken classes there.
Take Garden in the woods.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then we get Walden Woods.
Can you stop
Some great
sharing?
classes.
Yeah, you can stop sharing.
Say,
Really.
Hartley, can
15
you
years
stop
ago.
sharing my computer, please?
All right,
This facility.
Oh, yeah.
It really is.
items for
Great
discussion
instructions.
at the next meeting, is
Oh, I do that.
what?
I stopped sharing, sorry.
The Mass WPA, how is a wetland defined under, Wetlands Protection Act, what regulations pertain to it, the discussion will provide an overview of the Mass WPA. This is something that we go through every 18 to 24 months, just because. But it's just overviews of the different rules and regulations. We'll do this a little quicker, we like that.
Yeah.
You do it a little quicker than in the
Yeah.
past.
A little more expedient.
They're not easy to read.
And then we are gonna discuss the review and approve, meeting minutes from March 12th and March 27th. Next meeting is May 28th. Is there anything else that anyone wants to add or comment?
Well, just that the Conservation Restriction Committee was gonna meet tomorrow, it's been postponed, but it's making progress.
Why was it postponed?
I think because I'm guessing that because the town meeting, that perhaps some people needed more time. They couldn't divide the time and do preparation for this meeting for tomorrow, I think. I don't know.
Now, what is the meeting again? I missed that, Bob.
Conservation Restriction Committee to come up with the guidelines to create the conservation restriction at the soccer fields.
Have they find any alternatives to
Bob is kind of the subcommittee for that, right?
Yeah, I'm representing this committee on that.
they've come up with any alternatives to the holders, the CR holder?
They're still investigating, hoping to come up with some entity other than Ocean Game. But as a result of being on the committee, I've come to, I went on a walk with Emily Norton, and I'm gonna be one of the people who shadows and helps out with the, I was shocked at the number of
Number of what?
No, Jesus, Jimmy.
Number of what?
Don't,
Yeah.
Involved in this now?
no, the green little circle things that crawl through the sand.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
He already just said a disturbing word. I'll talk to him at the meeting, after the meeting.
So, good. I think that's great.
Yeah. And she hopes that I can be on the permit, so that it's more official than just shadowing and helping out. But perhaps next year I will be on the permit as a.
And you're referring to, who is this individual referring
Emily
to?
Emily.
Fine.
Emily Norton Fine.
She holds the permit for.
Is this
the-
Emily
let me finish.
Norton or Emily?
Emily Norton Fine. She holds the permit for the endangered species listed at Squanicook Meadows. She is the one that,
So it is, okay. Must be a different one. It's Emily Fine
no, it's no one,
Emily Norton.
from up on Vinton Pond Road.
Derek, this is just part of the fun. We usually
Oh,
go in circles for a while.
State government, I know.
She is, Friends of Willard Brook or something like that.
She was one of the founders of Friends of Willard Brook. I think the Galpies and some other people were involved in that too, and for some reason it dissolved. I'm not exactly clear what happened.
I make a motion to adjourn our meeting at.
Yeah.
At, 8:24.
Second, I'll second.
Oh,
Roll call vote started with Mike.
Mike Potts says yes.
James Furnace.
James Gage, yes.